I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, November the 3rd, brought to you in part by Witex Corporation. Witex provides excellence in animal health, including all-American identification tags of any kind for all classes of livestock. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Procrastination, putting stuff off. That's what your fat cattle buyers are doing with this inevitably higher fat cattle market this week. They're just putting it off a little bit longer. They're waiting. They're finding a few weak sisters and buying some cattle steady with last week or near steady there, but not getting anything really established. They're just waiting and putting it off as long as they can. They're pulling contracts. We're now in a new month, so got a new pool of contracts to pull from. They're doing that to try to fill their needs, but they're going to have to pay money for fat cattle if they're going to buy enough to satisfy the kind of change speeds that they've been running here of late. And although we expect them to slow things down in their harvesting, we have yet to see any evidence of that, because they continue to harvest huge amounts of cattle, a lot higher than a year ago. But we know that the market's going to be higher. The town drunk knows that the fat cattle market's going to be higher. We've seen that your December live cattle futures have failed this week, not in big bunches, but they've been a little bit lower every day this week, and we were up through the third session of that. We saw feeder cattle futures gain much of what they had lost earlier in the week back on Wednesday because of your grains being a little bit lower. But December live cattle have now established kind of a nice basis for your late week sellers if they'll hang on, dig in, refuse the steady bid, sell at a higher price, especially in the north, and then they can have a little bit of basis to put in their pocket when this is all done. But let's look at your board. On December live cattle futures down 55 cents at 150, 140. That's about a $0.50 cheaper than what last week's 5-area negotiated weighted average was. February down 35 cents at 154.90, which is still a nice premium going out forward. Back months were down 37 cents to up 25, so kind of mixed there. Feeder cattle, November was up $2 smooth at 178.95, trading at a big premium to what our index levels are. January up $1.80 at 180 smooth, and your back months were all higher, from up 77 cents to up $1.22. Like I said, your grains were down. Corn was down 10.25 cents. They kind of overdid it going up earlier in the week, but settled on Wednesday regular trading at 687.5. Beans up 4.25 cents a bushel at 14.40. Fats, of course, Colorado's confidential. We may never know what a direct fat steer heifer it brings in Colorado ever again, and then they're going to start picking at the other 4 of the 5 major feeding areas there, and I expect Texas will be the next one to drop. Iowa had 3,900 head sell, which sounds like a lot of cattle, but that's far from establishing price for this week. But steady sales compared to a week ago, from 152 to 155, which was confirmed on Wednesday. Nebraska, just 3,000 head there, and that's about all they've had this week. 152 to 153, but the dress market is higher, $1 to $2 higher, and a few dress sales from 242 to 243. Kansas didn't have any confirmed sales on Wednesday. Texas had a couple thousand at 149. Not sure why they do that. Sometimes things happen that we don't know. We're not privy to that information, but that was not as high as last week when we know the fat cattle market's going to be higher. But we continue to see our fat cattle auctions sell higher, especially this week. We talked about Yankton, South Dakota, which is your biggest fat cattle auction in a brick and mortar sale barn. We talked about them on our last visit. Today we're going to talk about Lanesboro, Minnesota. The owner and operator, Joe Nelson, there sent me a text and to show me what things were bringing there. They had 1,300 head all together, but they had Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa cattle feeders bringing cattle in there. They do sell in smaller groups there, but they add up whenever you put them all together. But top prices in Lanesboro, Minnesota at the fat cattle auction there on Wednesday range from $158 to $164.50. Wow. Talk about your box beef cutout values. They were higher on Wednesday. Choice cuts $263.47, up 84 cents. Select up 43 cents at $233.16. Your slaughter continues to run ahead of schedule. 385,000 harvested up through the first 3 days of this week. 1,000 more than the same time last week, and they only had 366, so 19,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services right here in Oklahoma City. That's where I'm broadcasting from here for this edition of the Feeder Flash. Going to be at Heritage Place racehorse sales here all weekend for a 3-day sale. But Livestock Risk Services is headquartered out of the Exchange Building at Oklahoma National Stockyards. Kind of a good place to be with a lot of producers coming in there from a lot of different areas. But Dakota Moss offices right there in the Exchange Building. He's got several agents all around the area, and any of them can help you. They are licensed to sell LRPs in all your major cattle production states, so just give them a call. They know what's going on. I know you guys have questions about that. Now that we see that in western Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle and places, we've had enough moisture where there's going to be wheat. Talked to several wheat grazers that are going to be turning out around the 1st of December, which is only a couple weeks later than what they normally turn out, but they think it's going to be rooted down good enough for that. If your background in cattle on wheat or any other kind of forage or even in a lot this winter, you need to get an LRP on them. Things are wild enough that you need to protect yourself on the downside, and you can get some help from USDA there on that, and contact Livestock Risk Services for any questions you have with that. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday sitting at 175.43, 15 cents a hundred higher than Tuesday's close there. But CME is launching again on their cash feeder cattle index, and not quite sure why. It'll be down on the next one that they put out, because it'll include Monday's sales, which were heavily influenced in the Southern Plains, and it'll bring that down quite a bit. You guys don't forget about Friday, the Legends of the Fall sale coming up on Friday on DV Auction. It's also going to be live at Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. Get on and check out that sale. Go to dvauction.com, look up the Legends of the Fall sale, and look at the videos, the pictures, the pedigrees that are on there. They've got tons of replacement heifers, which I know you guys need to do. Those of you that can keep some heifers or buy some and give them a home, it's time to do that, guys. They're going to get crazy high as we go forward. They've got a lot of young pairs on there, got some really premium consigners on there, and several ranch geldings that are proven that you guys will be interested in seeing there. Talk about our big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 8,200 head. Big sale for them. A year ago, the receipts were 5,800. So continuing to run ahead of schedule. Guys are bringing cattle in. Run out of grazing. Their wheat's not ready. They've got yearlings to sell in some cases, but not many grass yearlings. But the yearlings sold really well in El Reno on Wednesday. Feeder steers are $3 to $5 higher. Feeder heifers were $1 to $2 higher. Calves sold $2 to $6 higher. They've got a special calf sale with a couple of premium programs going to be featured on their next sale next week, which will be on Tuesday. Talk about winter livestock in Dodge City, Kansas. 4,000 head for them. Higher market, $3 to $8 higher for the guys in the winter livestock in Dodge City, Kansas. Talk about your Zoetta stick-out sale of the day. It was Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. And you think, well, you talked about their fat cattle market on our last visit. No, this is the feeder cattle sale. And look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central. You see the impressive quotes there. I want to focus on your best tested weights of steers, which are in the heavy yearling department. 614 head of 8-weight steers in Yankton averaged 835 with a weighted average price of 184.49 on all those 8-weight steers. Very impressive. How about 369 head of 9-weight steers in Yankton averaged 938 with a weighted average price of 179.45. Sounds like a really top individual quote. Going to give you several individual quotes from all around the country. How about out east? Tri-State Livestock Market, Abington, Virginia. They've got a good sale there. That's where they host the Abington Feeder Cattle Association tele-auctions that we have on DV Auction. But this was through the ring. 62 head of steers weighed 805 at $182 all the way out there in Virginia, guys. How about Fort Pierre Livestock Auction, Fort Pierre, South Dakota. 102 head, 513-pound steers at the calf special there bring $239.50. Wow. Green City Livestock Marketing in Green City, Missouri. That's north central Missouri there in the Green Hills. 60 head, 848-pound steers bring $185. And then a top individual quote for out of Yankton, Stockman's Livestock Market. 224 head, 807-pound steers bring $193. But the most impressive quote that I saw on Wednesday, your Mackerson No BS top quote for the day, come out of Hub City Livestock in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Long-time broadcaster with DV Auction. Sell 58 head of steers, weighed 911 pounds at $190.75. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.